too much.
It's
Um,
nice.
all right. Looks like let me edit this. It's saying that we're not oh no, title.
No, it's actually saying that we
We're
are live.
scheduled.
Everyone
Okay.
can see and hear.
All right. So we're live. Good
Yes, we
morning.
are.
Happy
Good morning.
Saturday.
Yay!
And this is the face and the voice of Dr. Tolu Olabinto. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Living Spring Family Medical Center here in the awesome city of Mansfield, Texas, where we help our patients live long and well because we believe the quality of life is just as important as the quantity of life. Now, we're here having a conversation today on a Saturday morning
Mhm.
for you, our viewers watching live and watching in replay. And I have the honor of having the conversation with Dr. Ayo Adenuga. Thank you so much for joining us on this Saturday morning early. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a honor to be here. I'm so happy and glad to be speaking with you today. I've enjoyed many of the engagements you've had so far, and most especially the way you also engage your patients and try to improve their lives through all those communications and videos that you do. So thank you. I'm very happy and honored to be here today.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
thank you, thank you. And we've had you on before, and I'm happy that this is another one. But for those who are watching, who are like, you say she's come here before, but I don't know her. Can you please introduce yourself? Who are you, and what do you do?
Thank you again. Everybody, I'm so glad to be here again. My name is Dr. Ayo Adenuga. I'm a public health physician, and I'm also the host for Action for Teens and Moms Health. I have over 2 decades of leadership, communications, health program implementation experience. Um, Currently, I work as a project lead in a clinical research organization, but I'm also passionate about what I do in improving the lives of mothers and teenagers. I help moms to improve their parenting confidence so they could lead their teen and communicate effectively for remarkable results. That's what I do. I also help teenagers as well to be able to lead and communicate effectively so that they can achieve their potential and live a life of legacy. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. I wanted to highlight a few things about you because, as with every guest I've had, everyone tends to downplay, their credit, their creds. So I'm just going to give a few shout outs, like things that really caught my eye. That you help mom and teenagers to turn intention into healthy life saving actions. You
Mhm.
up level their confidence and help them grow in leadership and communication to live fulfilled lives. And you help broker that communication gap sometimes that's found between, of course, teenagers and their parents and moms, right?
Mhm.
Um, she has over 2 decades, 20 years of health program implementation, speaking, and leadership experience in the US and in Sub-Saharan Africa.
Mhm.
She's a person of faith. She's a wife. She's also a mother of three children, two teenagers. So it's not just she's talk the talk. She's walking the walk too, and one preteen. And she's passionate about adding value to people through service, capacity building, and inspiring lives. I have to say, Doc, when I was reading your profile, I was like, wow, she's a powerful woman, and she looks so good.
Thank you.
She looks so good. The years of experience don't show in your face, but I really appreciate
Thank
you
you for the compliments.
and for what you do. So, Doc, but here's my question, and I'm sure those who are watching want to know too. Why do you do what you do? Why do you do it?
That's a great question. And it started over 20 years ago as well, 2 decades. While I entered college newly, I had stories of my teenage friends or even family members who made um, decisions that costed either their lives
Mm,
or they almost lost their lives, or it actually truncated their career. And going into medical school, I had the opportunity of being engaged in a group, a non-profit student organization called Action for Teens and Moms Health. There, I seized the opportunity to reach out to teenagers
mm,
through campus awareness programs, information, IEC materials, that's information, educative, and communication materials to empower them with the knowledge and the tool they need to make decisions that would help them to make the informed decisions. Because many a times, teenagers during their years, they act on impulses and make decisions that will cost them their lives. Since then, I've been involved in empowering teenagers, speaking to moms, speaking to the youths and adolescents across Sub-Saharan Africa, doing capacity building, and that's what I've continued to do today. And most importantly, like you mentioned, I now have teenage children myself, and I have a 17, a 14, and an 11-year-old. And this is just the crucial time to continue to reaching out to moms based on my experience, based on the current situation, and being able to adequately channel this to life experience, learnings, and my own skills to be able to improve the lives of mothers and teenagers alike.
Awesome. I like what you do, Doc. Now let's get right to it. We're talking about teenagers. How do I talk to my teen? He barely says anything to me. He or she. And I have conversations with clients sometimes and they say, yeah, my little girl, my little boy, he used to like to hang out with me. He used to like to hug me. And now he's like he doesn't want to talk to me. Like, why does that happen? Why does that change happen? Can you enlighten our viewers?
Yeah, you ask a very good question. And this is something mothers, even teenagers, have grappled with: communication. Communication is the fulcrum of leadership and influence everywhere, of a successful leadership or influence. Um, you can't impact anybody without being able to communicate effectively, and communication is a two-way thing. But why is it so overwhelming in teenage years between parents and adolescents? This is because during the adolescent years, and I would define quickly what adolescence is teenage years is between 13 and 19.
Mm,
However, adolescence broadens this. This captures the preteen and the young adults together. So from 11 and then to about 21, even 24. Now, at this point, a child is changing. In adolescence, they are changing, their physical well-being is changing, their hormones are changing, their mind is changing, their cognition is changing, their emotions are changing, but they change in different variation. The first is their body starts seeing physical changes there because of the hormones, but the second is their emotions. The emotions also start changing, and because it's changing, the teenager is still trying to grapple with
mm,
how their body is functioning, how their mind is functioning. But most importantly is their brain. 90% of the brain is developed by the time they are 6 years of age. But however, some parts are not yet developed. The parts where that is responsible for executive function, planning, decision making, and emotions. Now, adolescence is the time where you see the gray matter of the brain developing some more. And the first part that develops actually is the emotional part of the brain, which is the back of the brain, the amygdala. And that's why, as that develops, the emotions start changing. They can
mm,
only react based on emotions. You see them be more angry, or more quiet, or more talkative, or even more irritable, because that's the part that is is building more. The other part that now start building at the end of the day is the frontal part of the brain that has to do with executive functions, that has to do with the ability to make decisions, understand the consequences, and the logic for what you're saying.
mm.
So, why the children change in adolescence in terms of communication? That's because they don't even know how to express themselves as well as an adult would be. They are going through a lot of emotional changes there. And so that's where you see the change. And parents, I've spoken to several parents. This is where you have to understand that your child did not just wake up and say, I'm going to annoy my mom today. And the stuff I said that today I'm just going to be angry. No, they themselves are trying to grapple. They have mood changes, mood swings, and this is because of the hormonal changes in their body. And also, the environment has a way to play. Um, they go to school, they feel unsure of themselves. They come home, they can't express themselves, and the only place that they could actually show who they actually are is the home.
Hmm.
So they accumulate all those emotions that they can't adequately express in school among their peers, and they come home and onboarding. And who better to onboarding to, or to be irritable to, or to even be secluded to and just unwind, but their parents. So that is why you see those changes happening. And I tell this to many parents so they understand the background
Mm.
behind the actions. Yeah.
All right. So I have a rebuttal for that. So I have a parent who's watching who's like, well, I was a teenager too. And I didn't get to do all this. Like I went through the changes. I didn't act this way. I didn't react this way. I didn't talk to my parents this way. What would you see to that parent who's frustrated? Who's like, child, you don't talk to me like that. I never talked to my mother like that. And so who's battling with, this? What would you say to encourage them?
I would highly, and you're right, how we were before is different from how the children of today are. A lot of things have changed over the years of how children communicate or respond.
Hmm.
While we're more subservient to our parents and more respectful, you find that children of nowadays are more vocal, they are more expressive. And you'd also find out that we had friends out of our parents, but we were in a cocoon where even our friends were limited. We didn't have to tell our parents everything. But unfortunately, if your child is not talking to you in this day and age, others are talking to your child.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And that's where you have to balance candor and love. You know, being frank with your child and say, no, don't tell me this, and love, being understanding and pulling the two together. With the way we would approach dealing with our children now is way different from how our parents dealt with us. And that's why we have to put them in. And it's also an age whereby the child is exposed globally to friends.
Hmm.
You don't want them to make friends out of the home. So I'll quickly give an analogy. In those days, we had a child is influenced by different factors. The first is the home, the parents. The second is the community, be it the school or the church community or the faith community. The next is the environment, the policies, when they go to college and environmental and government policies. But now, guess what? The child is first the home and then global. They get to be on their phone, on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, and everything. And before they'll come to you, if that communication is not there, they'll go to their friends and get the information that they don't need or that is skewed or not representative of the values that you hold. So, what will I say to parents where the child is misbehaving or being defiant? The first I would say is, what is the why behind that? Two, what is your goal in that relationship? That's very important to you. Is it to have an effective communication with love and with passion, but also making sure that the values of the family is being achieved? With that in mind, it should not be about you, it's about the child. Why is the child doing this? There are different reasons why some children react. One, are they seeking attention? Two, is there something that they are trying to avoid? Like, are they trying to avoid their chores? Are they trying to avoid their homework? Are they trying to avoid going to school? Three is, what other things is making them sensitive? What are they exposed to that is making them more sensitive? Are they stressed from school? Are they being bullied in school? Are they having hard time with their homework? So you look at it, what exactly is making my child react this way? With that in mind, you could say, okay, I hear you. Well, you don't speak like to me like that.
Hmm.
What is happening? Talk to me, and then with that communication, the child can see you are correcting out of love, out of their interest, but still trying to make sure that the values of the family is in place. So communication
Wow.
is essential.
Wow. I'm taking notes. That's why I'm looking down. So forgive me, viewers, because there's a lot of powerful things that have been said here. And the goal of having this conversation is not to make parents feel bad, feel like they're dropping the ball. It's for us to change tactics and help our mindset so we can play the long game. Recently, I was having a conversation with a parent too, and she was giving advice also because she has older kids, she has teenagers, and she said, you got to play the long game. Your goal is to correct, not control. You
Yeah.
want to help your children become the best they can be. And so that moment when they're irritating you, you have that goal in mind, you have your family values in mind, you have all of that. So it helps you not to get so upset.
Which you do often. I
Woo!
try. Well,
Because it can seem a little overwhelming, to have to do this, but we have to change our tactics as parents and understand the influences that we're competing with,
mhm.
and catch up and
Yeah,
catch. So be encouraged. We're cheering you on, and
we
this can be
are.
done. All right, my next question to you is this. All right, Doc, I've heard you. I agree. The way they were raised different from how we were raised. Their social media influence. I can't restrict them from social media. They get it at school. If they don't get it at home, they get exposure. I don't have time to be on social media to be, finding out what they're doing or what they're talking. Like, I don't have that time. So the parent is asking, are there ways to promote conversations relatively quickly so that we can,
Yeah.
what would you say to that, Doc?
Um, there are communication starters that you could have, but I would always say you should have. I'll talk about the 4 L's that I've learned that worked, proven to be useful. Number one is to love. Um, Loving in the sense that you don't want to be critical or judgmental when you're having that conversation. Second is to listen actively, listen with your eyes, listen with enthusiasm, listen with your ears as well. Pay attention. Lead, okay? You learn, actually is learn, then lead. So you learn what they are talking about by asking follow-up questions, and then you lead. Leading in being able to provide alternatives to or ideas to what they are talking about. So communication starters could start like this. How has your day been? I said, Tom will say, oh, fine, thank you. And they'll go. Like you say,
Why
oh,
do
what
you care? Why
part
do
of
you
your
care?
day?
How about
Yeah.
why do you care? Oh, like this. Mm.
My son was like, it went well. And I said, oh, that's good. So what about your day went well? What was the best part of your day? And they'll mention something. Oh, that's nice. So what did you do about it? It could say, oh, I had my test today and I was happy that the grades was good. Oh, that's nice. So what was that grade? Or I could say, what was the so annoying thing that happened to you today? Or what didn't go so well today for you? I tell, oh, I had a classmate that did this or did that, or my younger girl will say somebody called me a name, and I'll say, oh, what did you do about it? And then she'll talk. So those are conversation starters that aligns with what they're actually experiencing. Or you could say, oh, hi, welcome. And I always give them this nice smile, my greeter smile when they come in, And I could say, oh, can you rate your day today from 1 to 10? They'll say, "Oh, 5." Or they could say it's 10. Oh, 10, that's good. So what made it 10 today? And they'll say, oh, I had this, I had that. We had a party in school, we ate snacks, we ate this, we ate that. Or they will just talk. So those are conversation starters that could help. And again, you could also have follow-up conversations.
Mm.
We've spoken about their wins yesterday. When you're starting conversation today, you could bring in that conversation to say, oh, yesterday you spoke about this. How's that been going? Yesterday you spoke about your artwork. How is it going? You spoke about this. How is it going? So those are ways in which you could communicate with your child. But don't forget the 4 L's. Come from the space of love, not criticism. Then you listen actively. Then you learn, having follow-up questions. Then you lead by providing alternatives where challenges are. So those are the ways in which you could effectively communicate with your
Now,
teenager.
I love this. And one of the things I want to caution those who are watching, a lot of times these things sound very woo-woo, very simple, like, yeah, sure, lead, love, blah, blah. But the simple things done repeatedly, it's amazing how powerful it can be.
Yeah.
I'm praying for grace and for strength to keep these habits that seem a little boring or seem monotonous or seem a little repetitive, to keep it going, because that's the key to success. But I have a rebuttal, Doc. I tried this the first day. I got home. I had my notes ready. I had my smile ready. I was ready to greet them at the door. I said, how was your day? And they gave me a look, had an attitude, and stormed off. I'm done, Doc. I don't know. Well, I don't know what to say to that. So for the parent who is watching, who's tried this and feels a little frustrated, what would you advise, Doc?
Yeah. So again, I would say is the from the space of not me, it's about them. Many a times you are frustrated because I sometimes happen to, because I feel offended. Why is this child giving me attitude? Look at me. I came and prepared with all the smile, and I'm just here. And you react because your ego was bruised.
Yeah.
But when you come from the space of, what's happening? And you come from a space of love, your motive is to be kind to your child. Your motive is to know what went wrong. And then there has to be a pattern. If there's a pattern that has been ongoing, you could come say, hey, um, you can let it go at that time, but immediately the child settles down, you talk about it, and that's communication. I noticed that for a while, when I say hello to you, you are you look upset, you don't answer. I feel, talk about your feeling. I feel as if this is what is happening. I don't feel happy to see that you are not happy. I feel or disrespected, if that's how you feel. You say, this is how I feel. I would, and say, this is what I expect. I expect to do this or that. So recently, I walked into my son's room to say good night. He was on the computer working. And I was like, okay, good night. He was like, and it was working. It was on the computer. I was like, oh, when I talk to you, you should look up and acknowledge. I don't feel respect. He said, oh, mom, I'm doing an exam. And so he couldn't look up because it was on camera. I didn't know, you know. So guess what? While that was the situation right there, initially I was like, why didn't you look up and say hi, mom? And but later on, I said, while I understand that you were on camera doing an exam, it's still respectful to look up, acknowledge, give a
Signal.
signal, and then continue. That shows respect, that shows love. And that is what you also prune out to other people when you go out of the house. So I'm conscious about immediately correcting, but understanding the reason why. But if there's a pattern, you have to let your child also know, I see a pattern here. This is my expectation. This is how I feel. How can we make it better? And then both of you will think, okay, next time, okay, I'm sorry, mom, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to disrespect you. Next time, I'll look up, acknowledge, and continue. So those are ways in which you could have communications that would not be offensive. Don't go, I came to say hello to you. I smiled. Why are you always doing this? Why are you always disrespectful? Why don't you acknowledge my efforts? That would bring a pushback because the child would not see your logic in you being respectful. What do they see? Your emotions. My mom doesn't understand me. My mom does not like me. My mom is overburdened. My mom is this. They won't see your love. They won't see that you care. They won't understand the logic behind your training. All they see is the emotions. So, what will I tell to parents? You need to, we as parents need to have a hold on their emotions. We have to come from a space of love, understanding, know why. If there's a pattern, correct it, but in love, in a judgmental manner. But also, when I say love, love is two ways. Number one, it can be a training and it can be corrective. So training in showing the child, modeling to the child. The other thing is corrective. I wouldn't say, oh, don't do love, 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 no corrections. No. Sometimes there are spaces where there has to be corrective measures or discipline. Yeah.
Well, communicate how their actions could make you feel. Maybe a way. Humanize yourself in their eyes. And you may
Exactly.
get across to them that what you meant, because sometimes it makes sense in our head that they react a certain way based on what we said. But what they meant to say was not what we saw. And so when you communicate using this is how I felt, or this I thought you communicated disrespect when you did this. Oh no, that was not my intention. And it's back and forth. I think that's very, very important too. Now I have a parent who's watching who's like, wow, it can be very hard because we're humans to always show love or react in a way that's positive or constructive, or even sometimes our habits we don't model what we want to see. So for the parent who is watching, who's feeling bad, like what are tips? Like how do we grow to be that parent? And this is a very, I mean, it's a very heavy conversation, but are there quick tips like maybe we should be gracious because, you're looking at like, well, yeah, maybe I wasn't, I used to shout a lot. So I wasn't a very good example. I didn't listen. So I haven't modeled a good behavior anyway. How would you empower our viewers, our parents who are watching, so we can move forward, even with that in mind?
That is a great question, Dr. Tolu. Now, I would say first, parents remove the guilt feeling. We are not superwomen. We are learning every day because as our children are changing, we are changing. We are also learning together. It's a lifelong learning, between us and the children. There are different phases of a child's life. And if you have two, three children, each one has different phases that they are coming from.
Mm,
Um, what I would encourage you now that has worked for me would be, what is my goal eventually in this whole conversation, in this whole relationship? What is my motive behind it? Um, when you walk from or communicate from a space of love, love is patient, love is kind, love long suffering, is tolerable,
mm,
and I try to put that in my head. Sometimes I get angry, sometimes I flare up. So I'm like, I told you this before. Why did you do it again? But a space of reflection, I was like, okay, how could I have better said that? Then I'll go back and the next time I'll do my best to do it. We are all work in progress. But working from a space of motive, what do I want to achieve, actually helps. Having the end in mind helps. When you want to talk to a child about a behavior or you want to influence them in terms of their academics, is it about them or about you? When you always put that motive, that end goal in mind, it helps a lot in determining the outcome of conversations or even having decisions being made in the home between you and your child. The child sees that my mom loves me, she cares about me, she wants me to excel. It's coming from a place of love. A saying was said by John Maxwell, especially, that you can't lead a person until the person knows you care about them.
mm.
And we all do. But the children need to see um, that care, that care as an ongoing thing. And I know that sometimes when I'm um, stressed, when I'm upset, my way of caring comes in another lopsided way. As a mother that works and has teenagers, and I can see this happening to many mothers as well. But we are not infallible. We are not perfect. So remove the guilt feeling. Um, Rinse, dust, repeat, and grow. That's what I would say. Yeah,
Play the long game. Be encouraged. Play the long game.
long
And
game.
play the long game. Communicate your care. And
Yeah.
sometimes communicating your care means saying, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
All right. So, one more question. At what point should we as parents seek help? Like, you notice your child's not saying anything, you've tried, you're having conversations on the daily, you're hanging out with them the best way you can, you're communicating care, and the child is not opening up or seems more removed or detached. When should we seek help?
This is a great question. Um, Now, I would go back to recently, even during the COVID and a bit after, especially when the social media was so much, we've seen incidences of teenagers committing suicide, teenagers having a lot of emotional pain that was not recognized. And at the end of the day, those people lost their lives. I've had two close people that happening to them. What I would say for parents, the time to seek help is when you notice four things. Number one, is there a distress? Is the child going through distress? Number two, is there a deviation from the child's normal pattern? A child that was quiet before just all of a sudden start talking, start bubbling, start saying, hey mom, blah, 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 or some that would like to play maybe chess, all of a sudden is just bouncing around the house. Or a child that usually talkative, start becoming very subdued, very quiet, just going around the house, not talking, hiding for long periods of time in the house. You have to check on the child. Number three is dysfunction. A child that is was getting an A in class before, all of a sudden the grade just dropped. Normally, when you say, "Oh, clean up your room," they'll do that, but all of a sudden they don't even have the motive to do anything. They will not have their bath. They will not brush their teeth. They will not do the normal things they used to do. So this is number one, a deviation from the norm, a distress to them, and then a dysfunction in the normal things they used to do before. The fourth thing is even when they're a danger to themselves. Danger to themselves, they've stopped eating knowing that it will hurt them, or they're even overeating knowing that it would also hurt them and they start throwing up or vomiting, or they're a danger to other people. These are little signs that psychiatrists have said should look out for in being able to say, hey, I noticed a deviation from the norm. I noticed a dysfunction from the child's normal pattern. Grades are going down. She's not communicating. She's angry. She's not having that bath, not doing this. You start checking. And when they become danger to themselves or to others, or they become easily angry, outbursts of anger, those are things you have to look out for and say, yeah, it's time to seek out help. I don't have to get to that end. You have to start noticing subtle changes because that's like the end stream,
Hmm.
right? You have to start noticing that subtlety. And that's why communication is important with your kids. And when your kids are not talking to you, that sometimes they want to just distress and keep quiet. But when it's a long duration, oh, you have to check it and say what's wrong. Talk to me. Talk to me. I'm here to help you. I love you. Just talk to me. Yeah.
Very, very powerful statement. I really appreciate you coming to have this conversation with us today. And for those who are watching live and in replay, please share this with those who could find this useful. Be encouraged in playing the long game with your children, with your teenagers, to help them be the best they can be. Lean into resources. Um, Dr. Adenuga has a program, and that you can, connect with her on. Look at resources, other people who can support and encourage you in this journey as a parent. They say it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a whole community to keep that child continue to grow. It takes a whole community. Wow, a lot of gems. I took quite a few notes. So thank you so much. And I'm praying for those who are watching here for strength, because it can be a lot. Not it can, it is a lot, but strength to power through emotionally, physically, spiritually, in every other area. Amen. Whew. All right, Doc. People are watching, I'm like, wow, I like this doctor. I want to communicate with her. I want to connect with her to have her come speak on my platform to teenagers, to speak to their parents, or to both. Doc, where can people find you?
Yeah, thank you so much. Like I said, my ultimate goal is to transform the way parents are able to engage their teens so that those teens can realize their full potentials and achieve destiny. So you can reach me on, I would first like to work with you. I would like to speak to your community, to your tribe. I would like to engage you one on one. I'm very open. Please reach me on Instagram, Action for Teens and Mom's Health. Facebook as well, Action for Teens and Moms Health, and even email, which is also Action for Teens and Moms Health at gmail.com. So reach out to me, connect with me. I'm looking forward to working with you. So nice to have you here, rooting for you, encouraging you. We can do this. We can do this. Yeah.
And what I've done is, I don't know if you can see it on the screen, I think it's blocking our faces, but you have
Yeah.
her information there. And you can also see it in the comment section. Dr. Adenuga is the real deal. I haven't actually met her in real life, but we communicated, and I just love you, ma'am.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. So thank you so much for coming.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Great connecting here. Have a
Likewise,
good day.
likewise. All
Bye.
right. I see some of you watched, some of you commented. Olubumi, Jaiya, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you. Please share this with those who could find this useful. I appreciate you joining us on a Saturday morning. And if
Yeah.
you or anyone you know is looking for a passionate and a thorough and a caring family physician in the Mansfield, Texas areas, who we have conversations to help you live long and well, I am she. Have a good one, everyone. Thank you, Doc.
Bye.
Bye.